Madam President, thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak again. A question, as I've read through this bill a number of times now, a question, Madam President, through you to the proponent.
Please proceed.
I notice here that when we talk about who would be relieved of the debt, the language is quite broad. And when language like that is very broad, it sort of makes you take pause and say, okay, what might we be missing here? What might have fallen through the cracks? So you think of situations that might be intolerable. And sadly, one comes to mind, and that is a situation of domestic abuse, where perhaps a spouse has been involved in the reason for the medical debt in the first place, where perhaps the spouse has inflicted injury on the individual in the hospital being treated. It would seem to me, and maybe the gentleman can clarify, in that case, were there medical debt, would the criminal spouse, the criminal surviving spouse, be relieved of that debt?
Thank you, Senator Lesser.
Through you, Madam President, in that particular horrifying circumstance, I believe our main mechanisms for holding the spouse financially liable are through our civil tort system, in addition, of course, to the criminal penalties that they may be attached to. So a wrongful death suit could be filed against the perpetrator of that crime or other torts. Through you.
Thank you, Senator Perillo.
Thank you, Madam President, and I appreciate the answer, but it's not really the answer to the question. Because it would seem to me that in the bill as drafted, that criminal spouse who inflicted the injury that led to death would actually be relieved of that debt. Madam President, I think that's problematic. I don't think, actually, quite honestly, that that's what the drafters of this bill intended. I don't think that's what the proponents of this bill intended. In fact, I don't think it's something that was considered at all. Now, I don't have an amendment before me today to fix this mistake, but I would be more than willing to work with the proponent to draft an amendment that would fix this mistake. And if there were interest in passing this bill temporarily in order to do so, I would be very willing to join with the proponent to draft such an amendment.
Thank you, Senator Lesser. I assume that's a question, Senator Perillo.